If you're working with legacy serial devices, you've probably run into this problem. Different baud rates, different formats, and two different systems that both need access to the same slave device. And when that happens, you're left asking yourself, do you need more hardware, rewrite the whole architecture, or just hope the wiring chart still makes sense 3 years from now? This is exactly what the tSH 700 series is built to fix. Today, we're going to walk through how these tiny serial port sharers help you bridge RS-232 and RS-485, convert Modbus RTU and ASCII, and let two masters share one slave device without turning your panel into spaghetti. And by the end of this video, I'll give you a simple way to pick the right tSH model for your next project. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is the tSH 700 series? The tSH 700 series from ICP-USA is a family of compact serial port sharers designed to sit right in your control cabinet. Every module in this lineup is built to handle three core jobs. First, baud rate conversion, so devices running at different speeds or formats can still communicate. Second, Modbus RTU to Modbus ASCII conversion and vice versa, so your Modbus master doesn't have to care what format your slave is using. And third, two masters sharing one slave, so both your control system and your monitoring system can access the same serial devices without conflict. This is especially useful for legacy Modbus RTU systems when supervisory monitoring is added to an existing system. All of this is packaged into a tiny, low-power PoE-capable module with a built-in web interface for easy configuration. No serial console tricks, no special software, just plug it in, configure, and go. These are the kind of tools that make serial integration boring again, in the best way possible. Now, before we get into specific model numbers, it helps to understand what all the tSH 700 modules have in common. Every device in this series includes a built-in web server so you can configure ports, baud rates, Modbus behavior, and raw data mode right from your browser. They all support both PoE and DC power, giving you redundancy and flexibility, especially when you're working in remote panels where your PoE switch is already doing the heavy lifting. And speaking of flexibility, every module offers a raw data mode, which is perfect for protocols like DCON or other request response serial formats. In other words, that means you don't have to force your system into Modbus if it wasn't designed for it. They're also low power, DIN-rail mountable, and built to live in real industrial environments with wild temperature ranges. And to top it off, each module comes in two versions, the standard version and the I version. The I models add isolation and extra protection on the serial side, which is especially valuable in noisy electrical environments or where long cable runs or ground differentials can cause issues. So now that you know what all of them share, let's talk about the different model groups, starting with the RS-232 focused models. If your system is still heavily RS-232 based, maybe you're dealing with older controllers, serial HMIs, label printers, or legacy automation equipment, the tSH series gives you a couple of straightforward options. The tSH 722 and tSH 722i come with two RS-232 ports. These are perfect when you need a simple two-port solution for baud rate and Modbus conversion. They're ideal when you have a single RS-232 slave device with a fixed baud rate and a master with a different fixed baud rate. Then you have the tSH 732 and tSH 732i, which include three RS-232 ports. These work incredibly well in test stands, lab setups, or small control stations where multiple PCs or HMIs need to talk to the same serial device simultaneously. But of course, many real-world systems don't stick to just one serial type, which brings us to the next group, the mixed RS-232 and RS-485 models. If you're trying to bridge panel-mounted RS-232 gear to an RS-485 field bus, this is where models like the tSH 724 and tSH 724i come in. These give you one RS-485 port and one RS-232 port. A common example here is connecting an RS-232 HMI or panel PC to an RS-485 device or small network. The tSH handles the port type conversion, baud rate, protocol, the whole thing, so your devices can talk without you having to redesign the system. Then you have the tSH734 and tSH734i. These offer one RS485 and two RS232 ports. These are especially useful in environments like production lines, where you might have a central SCADA system and a local panel PC that both need access to the same downstream RS485 controller or I/O bus. With a tSH in the middle, both masters can safely communicate with the same slave device, and the module manages who talks when. And if your field layer is mostly RS485, the next set of modules is built exactly for that. The tSH725 and tSH725i come with two RS485 ports. These are perfect for when you need to segment a bus. The tSH can normalize baud rates and convert formats, so older equipment can operate alongside newer controllers without any friction. And for even more flexibility, the tSH735 and tSH735i offer three RS485 ports. These are ideal for multi-zone environments like lighting control, distributed I/O systems, or large modular control architectures where multiple controllers need access to the same RS485 bus without the chaos of stacked repeaters or messy wiring. So now that we've covered the module groups, let's briefly talk about what makes these modules so effective in real-world applications. There's two major features that stand out. The first is two masters sharing one slave. With the tSH, you can connect master A and master B to different ports, and both can safely communicate with the same slave device. The module even has the ability to cache Modbus responses. That means if both masters ask for the same data, the tSH can reuse the response instead of sending duplicate requests to the slave, reducing bus traffic and improving system stability. The second key feature is baud rate and Modbus RTU/ASCII conversion. Your slave device might be locked at a fixed baud rate or using Modbus ASCII, while your master only supports Modbus RTU at a different speed. The tSH handles all of that translation, so each side can run at whatever settings work best. And when you put these features together, you get a device that dramatically simplifies commissioning. Instead of fighting with serial settings for hours, the tSH lets engineers focus on actually getting the system running. Now, how do these modules fit into real-world applications? In office or building lighting control, it's common to see two wall-mounted controllers in different areas needing to control the same RS485 lighting devices. A tSH735 or a tSH734 makes that possible without duplicating wiring or adding complicated logic. In production line control, a central SCADA system and a local panel PC both need access to the same process controller. Dropping in a tSH734 gives each master its own port, while the tSH handles the communication flow to the controller. And in retrofit projects, when you're upgrading part of a system but keeping legacy serial hardware in place, the tSH lets newer controllers and older devices work together without modifying firmware or forcing changes on the field layer. Which brings us to the final question. How do you choose the right tSH module? Well, first, you'd want to start with the serial type that you need. If you're mainly working with RS232, look at the tSH722 or tSH732. If you're mainly RS485, go with the tSH725 or tSH735. And if you need to bridge RS232 to RS485, the tSH724 and tSH734 are the go-to choices. Then consider how many serial ports you actually need. Two-port models work when you're simply converting communication parameters, changing port types, or doing a small bridge. Three-port models shine when you have two masters plus a shared slave. And finally, decide whether you need isolation. If you're working in noisy environments, long cable runs, or situations with potential grounding differences, the I versions add that extra layer of protection and long-term reliability. The tSH700 series is one of those product families that doesn't try to be flashy. It just quietly solves a really annoying class of serial problems, mismatched baud rates, Modbus RTU versus ASCII, and multiple masters fighting over the same device. If you're designing monitoring, control, or retrofit projects and you want to keep your serial layer clean, these little modules are absolutely worth a look. You'll find links to the full tSH 700 lineup and the data sheets in the description, along with a playlist on industrial communication and protocol conversion. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what's the most painful serial integration issue you've had to solve. And if you would like some extra help in setting up your next integration project, you can reach out to our team at sales@icp-usa.com, or you can head over to our website at icp-usa.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it.